Hello there, and a happy morning, happy day to you. I'm reporting live from beautiful Toronto. Good morning. Hey, Celine, what are you doing up so early? I'm impressed. Wow, good for you. That's pretty early for you out there in the West Coast. Hey, Alicia's on. Hi, Alicia. Hope you're staying in and staying dry. I know there's a lot of snow out here in Toronto, and there's a lot of snow. Aw, you're so sweet. Lots of snow in Ottawa this morning as well. Who's here? Oh, Fatima's here. Good morning. Oh my goodness, I'm so impressed with you guys. All right, this is great. Great to see you guys. We're going to invest some time here together doing some studying. And today we're going to study from a fabulous book that I have been reading and studying with most recently. It is another book by Neville Goddard. And the title of this book is called The Law and the Promise. The Law and the Promise. And good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So this is what we're going to be reading from this morning and studying from, not just reading. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some of the highlights from this book, The Law and the Promise by Neville Goddard. I'm going to share with you some of the highlights, and I'm going to talk about my interpretation as well and how you can actually use this information, because as you know, I'm assuming you know, that it's just not enough to study these materials. And I love doing this study, and I love doing study time with you. But what's most valuable for you and how you're really going to get better results is to have the study time, but then implement ideas as a result. So I'm here in Toronto at the Matrix event. It's Bob Proctor's event. And yesterday I was on stage at the end of the day. I do the wrap up with Brian Proctor, which is a gift. Today I'm going to be teaching visualization, and then I'll do the wrap up with Brian Proctor. But I love sharing the stage with Bob Proctor. It's something that I just feel so honored to do and very grateful to do. But one of the things that I do, and speaking of study, because this is called Study Time with Peg, one of the things that I do when I'm with, hey, Annie's here and Shelly. All right, welcome, ladies. Good morning to you. But one of the things that I do whenever I'm at Bob's event or whenever I'm studying, because this is called Study Time, I like to take notes. And I'll take notes, and I'll, and I like to handwrite the notes, but I take the notes and then I'll put little asterisks beside things that I want to go back to or things that I really want to remember. And another thing that I do is I create a list, and I actually have it here beside me. I create a list of Monday morning class ideas. For those of you that are perhaps teachers in this business, good morning, Shelley, good morning, Dorothy, and maybe you're a consultant, and you're doing your studying and you have, or you find something that's valuable to share with others, then make a note. And you may find something valuable from what we're studying today from the Law and the Promise. So make some notes and then share it with other people as well. And you can certainly share what we're doing here too, because we capture this, we record it, and then we'll share it on YouTube. So if you're not part of my YouTube channel, so part of sharing with others is not only your content, but it's other content as well. And that's actually exactly what I'm doing right now, as I'm sharing from this fabulous book that I've been studying lately called The Law and the Promise. And so we're going to read from the very, very first chapter. It's a chapter 1, and it's chapter called The Law. The Law. Ooh, sounds serious, doesn't it? But right below the chapter title, it says, Imagining Creates Reality. And you know what I find with Neville Goddard's work? Hey, good morning, Lisa. Good to see you too. This is so much fun. One of the things that I find, and Timothy is on Instagram. Welcome. And Pam's here. Good to see you guys. Good morning, Sonova. Good to see you too. But one of the things I find with Neville Goddard's work is he will give names for his book or for his chapter titles that are very intriguing and actually are extremely benefit oriented. Like the title of chapter 1, Imaging Creates Reality. It's like, of course. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be teaching visualization. Good to see you, Sidhi. I'm going to be teaching visualization later today. So this is such a wonderful chapter for us to be studying together here this morning. So, oh, thank you. Thank you, Danielle. I love doing the Streaming Club lessons. I appreciate you saying that. You're very kind. All right, guys, I really appreciate you being here. I want to make sure this is extremely valuable for you, and that I also get my butt downstairs for the beginning of the session, because Bob might be wondering, where's Peggy? And so we certainly don't want to leave Bob waiting. And I know I am teaching. Hey, Trace is here. Trace, so good to see you here. Wonderful. Okay, let's talk about imaging creates reality. Now, one of the things that Neville Goddard does with a number of his books, and certainly in chapters in this book, The Law and the Promise, is he quotes Blake. And so the very first quote here, I've highlighted as well because I really love this quote. Good morning, Dorothy. I think it's a very valuable quote. Hi there, Jane. Good to see you too. Okay, so here's the quote by Blake. Man is all imagination. God is man and exists in us, and we in him. The eternal body of man is the imagination, that is God himself. Now that's a quote by Blake. Now that may, create some wonderful ideas for you, but what does that really mean? It really means that we've got this incredible power within us to imagine our desires right into reality. And it's absolutely true. One of the things that I heard Bob Proctor say yesterday, and I think you guys will really like this, I actually made a morning money class this morning, which you'll see on Friday. And the morning money class that I created this morning was based on yesterday's studying with Bob and writing down decision mixed with discipline. So why I did a morning money class on that is it's important to, when you're making decisions of the things that you want and how it ties into what we're talking about in the Law and the Promise, is that you must discipline yourself enough to follow through with these ideas. So if imagining creates reality, then my recommendation to you is that you're doing imagining regularly, imagining what it is that you want. This morning I went downstairs and I got myself a coffee, and there's a gentleman who's here at the Matrix, and no one was there. It was like no one had even arrived yet. I went down, I got myself set up in the room and grabbed the coffee, and there was a gentleman there, and he's created this incredible app. And I had asked him, he might even be watching right now, I don't know, but he's created this incredible app. And I asked him this question. I said to him, I said, what do you see when we think about imagining creates reality? What is it that you're seeing when your app is a big success? What are you seeing? And he put a big smile on his face, and he knew instantly what the answer to that is. And Trace, who's on here right now on the call, is my business partner. Trace actually created visuals for us, for him and I, to focus on, from number of subscribers to our revenue and things like that. So when you think about it, and I asked this guy, what is it that you're seeing when you see the success of your app? And he had said, I see messages from my users that they love the app and that they're really using the app, they're engaged in the app, and they're telling all their friends. So I see the numbers of users increasing. That's like amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So I want you to think about what your goals are, what your desires are, whether you're looking to create more money in your life, or you're looking for a relationship in your life, or you're looking for a dream home, or all of those things, or some of those things, or more things, or other things. I want you to really ask yourself the question, what do you see when you experience those things? It's a very valuable thing to do. So Neville says the purpose of this first portion of the book is to show through actual true stories how imagining creates reality. Science progresses by way of hypothesis, tentatively tested and afterward accepted or rejected according to the facts of the experience. The claim that imagining creates reality needs no more consideration than is allowed by science. It proves itself in performance. It proves itself in performance. We're reading from the Law and the Promise, all right? What does that mean? It proves itself in performance. It's by their fruits you will know them. Bob often uses that quote, by their fruits you will know them. And what that really means is that if you want to know what's going on within someone, look at their results. Right? It's by the fruits you will know them. Like my happy marriage with my husband. That was something I imagined into reality. I had made a decision that I wanted a loving, healthy, respectful, enjoyable, fun relationship with my significant other. And before Denny even came into my life, I imagined him. I imagined us walking down the road and holding hands. I imagined him opening the door for me like a gentleman, and he totally is a gentleman. I imagine us laughing together. I imagine us investing quality time together at the holidays. I imagine us sharing special moments with our families as well. So all of that became an imagination that became a reality, and it happened relatively quick after I made the decision. But as I mentioned earlier, decision must be mixed with discipline. So you can make the decision for something, but unless you discipline yourself enough to really, truly, genuinely focus on the outcome, to imagine it into reality, it's not going to work. So you've got to discipline yourself to do it. I think it's really, really important that you do. All right, good morning. I'm seeing more and more people are joining us, so happy to have you here. Okay, so we're reading from the Law and the Promise. If you're just joining us, I'm in chapter 1, and I'm just reading some of the things that I've personally highlighted. Here's something else that, yeah, thank you, the Purpose Pusher. Thank you for writing that onto the Instagram thing. I love it when people do that, when they actually will take comments that I'm making or points that I'm sharing, and they'll type it into the little chat screen on either Instagram or Facebook Live. I love that. Okay, here's what Neville says. He says, when man solves the mystery of imagining, he will have discovered the secret of causation. And that is, imagining creates reality. So the man who solves the mystery of imagining, he will have discovered. And I remember one time, speaking of using your imagination and visualization, I remember one time, my husband and I were looking to buy a waterfront property, and there was one particular property that I really wanted. My husband didn't, and understandably so, because the place, the building was kind of a, I'm trying to find another word for a dump, but you know, and it really was. I mean, I'm trying, don't know how to sugarcoat it other than just to share the truth. But I saw the potential with this property. And so what I would do as far as causation of results is I would go to that property and I would sit in they had these Muskoka chairs right at the waterfront, and I would sit there and I would close my eyes and I would imagine that we were there. And then I'd open my eyes too, because you want to have open eye experiences too, because you're visually seeing it, right? You're visually seeing it. And I've done that on so many different occasions where there's been something in particular that I wanted, and I didn't know how it was going to manifest in a form, or I didn't know what methodology was going to happen or exactly what it would look like at the end. But even when you're imagining, if you can get some kind of an idea of what your outcome would look like. Let's say you're looking to purchase a dream home, and you love that dream home to be in the mountains and surrounded by trees, and you see deer going by, and it's a beautiful environment. So you just practice with your imagination. You know, when we were kids and little girls, I was a little girl, maybe you're a little boy or whatever, that when we were children, that we were in the habit of practicing imagination. And as adults, you know, maybe in school we're told stop daydreaming, and, you know, we get out of that habit. But if we get back into the habit, it's amazing what we can create. So on page 11, I also highlighted this chapter that says the individual who can summon at will. So you know how Bob Proctor talks about your mental faculties, and one of them being will? Well, will, this is where we hold it with our will, right? You've heard Bob Proctor say that, I'm sure, for those of you that study Bob and love Bob. So the individual who can summon at will whatever imaginal activity he pleases, and to whom the visions of his imagination are as real as the forms of nature, is master of his fate. Whoa, master of his fate. Now, wouldn't you want to pay attention to that? Absolutely, we want to pay attention to that. We want to definitely invest the time so that we're doing these things and master our own fate. I want to go on and read from a couple more pages before we wrap up today. Oops, I knocked my laptop. Okay, he also says that this is a secret. He says, this is a secret, okay? You must abandon yourself mentally. Okay, listen to this. This is so important. You must abandon yourself mentally to the feeling or to your wish fulfilled in your love for that state. And in so doing, live in the new state and no more in the old state. Wow. You know, I have a quote. I'm doing a presentation this afternoon on imagination and visualization, and there's a quote. I'm just going to go over to my PowerPoint presentation here, because it really speaks to, this is a quote that is in Bob's slides, and I'm using it in my presentation this afternoon, but I think it really speaks to what Neville says. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to read what Neville said, and then I'm going to read this quote from Bob as well, because these are both really valuable ideas that I want you to understand. Oh, thanks, the Purpose Pusher. Look at you. You're awesome. Thank you for typing those things in. I really appreciate you. All right, thank you. Okay, so let me read that again, and then I'm going to come back and read this quote that's in my presentation for this afternoon. So Neville says, you must abandon yourself mentally to your wish fulfilled in your love for that state, and in so doing, live in the new state and no more in the old state. No more in the old state. So here's the quote that I have for my presentation for this afternoon. The moment your belief matches with any state, you fuse with it. Now, when we're talking about states, I just want to pause here for a moment. When we're talking about states, what are we talking about? We're talking about how you feel. All right, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about how you feel emotionally. So the moment your belief matches with any state, you fuse with it. In other words, let's say you have a goal or you've made a decision that you'd like to have a significant person in your life. You want a love relationship. I'm just going to use a simple example. And you believe that it is already yours. The moment your belief matches with any state, in other words, you feel it as if it's already here. This union results, it's like you're taking the belief, you're matching it with emotion. That union results in activation and projection of its plots, plans, conditions, and circumstances. And what does that really mean? It means that everything requisite for the fulfillment of your desire is being attracted to you in this moment. Then my quote goes on here to say, it's not my quote, it's from Bob's presentation. It goes on to say, this new state of conscious awareness becomes your home from which you view the world. It is your workshop. And if you are observant, you will see outer reality shaping itself upon the model of your imagination. So the new state becomes your of consciousness, becomes your awareness. This is your new home, right? What does it mean by new home? What it means is that, hey, good morning, Kayla. Good to see you too. What it means is that when you set that objective for whatever the goal is, for whatever the outcome is, and your belief, you believe it's already done, you see it, you believe it, it matches the feeling, the state that you're in, everything requisite is going to be manifested or attracted to you. But you must live from that place. That's why it becomes your new home. Your new home in consciousness. Your new home with everything that you're thinking about. Your new home with what you're feeling grateful for. You feel grateful for it as if it's already done, and you feel it now in this moment. And you really genuinely connect to what that feels like. Isn't that great? Now, I know many of you have been studying these materials for a long time, but I find that the more you study, the greater your awareness, the more you implement, then, oopsie, hang on here a second, there we go, the better it goes, the better your results, the better your understanding, the better you're implementing these ideas, and the better you're creating. And then you discover, it's like Patanjali quote, you discover yourself in a whole new world that you never even imagined, right? You discover that you're manifesting at lightning speed, that you're manifesting far more effectively than you've ever done before. It's absolutely incredible. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up with the next part that I've highlighted inside this book. So Neville Goddard says, every image can be embodied, but unless you yourself enter the image and think from it, it is incapable of birth. So that's why that new home we're talking about, you've got to live there, you've got to feel it, you got to embody it. You got to think from that outcome. You have to know that it's already done. Therefore, it is the height of folly to expect the wish to be realized by the mere passage of time. That which requires imaginative occupancy to produce its effect obviously cannot be affected without such occupancy, meaning it's your new home. You live from there. You cannot be in one image and not suffer the consequences of not being another. In other words, you give your focused attention on the one idea. You see, you're feeling dominant emotions at all times. You got to pay attention to what you're feeling because you're producing results based on the dominant feeling, right? So you must feel it. So even, let's talk about money for a moment, financial situations, right? If someone is in debt, as an example, and I know a lot of people ask this question all the time, if someone's in debt and they're experiencing a lot of debt and they feel like they're struggling and they have a desire to create a different outcome, financial abundance, money being drawn to them in large quantities, earning all kinds of money, being debt-free and having a net worth of a certain amount of money. You got to live from that place. It's not that you're ignoring your financial responsibilities. It's not that at all. You're still taking care of your responsibilities. But in your mind, in your imagination, you're seeing your bank accounts already full. You're seeing yourself easily paying these bills or going online and doing a transfer. You're seeing it and imagining it right into reality. And I know because I've been there. I've had piles of debt and it didn't feel good at the time. And I remember back in the 80s, and I first, really began studying extensively imagination. And I remember I had a line of credit, and the line of credit was up to the max. And I was paying it off, but I was just paying like interest only every month. And I was allowing myself to be bothered by this debt. And so I thought, well, what is it that I really want? Well, I want to see it paid off. So I took my statement and I used whiteout, because back then we didn't have anything online. And I used whiteout and I whited out the balance owing and I made it a 0. And then I made the credit available the same amount. So in other words, I still had the credit. It was available for me. I paid it all off. And then I put that on my fridge. And that's what I visualized, right? That was one of the activities that I used to visualize. Okay, I'm just going to go through the last paragraph and then we're going to wrap it up. Imagination is spiritual sensation. It's a spiritual sensation. It's something we make up, right? It's something that we just can connect to and feel with. Enter the image of your wish fulfilled. He says the wish fulfilled. I'm going to modify a little bit here. Enter the image of your wish fulfilled. In other words, your goal's been realized or it's manifested. Then give it sensory vividness and tones of reality by mentally acting as you would act were it a physical fact. All right, were it a physical fact. Now, this is what I mean. This is his words. This is what I mean by spiritual sensation. Imagine that you're holding a rose in your hand. I love that he gives this example. This is such a fun example. All right, he says, imagine that you're holding a rose in your hand. So just do that now. Everybody just do that now, right? Just imagining that you're holding a rose in your hand. Smell it. Do you detect the odor of the roses? Well, if the rose is not there, why is its fragrance in the air? Isn't this cool? Why is its fragrance in the air? Through spiritual sensation, that is through imaginal sight, sound, scent, taste, and touch, you can give to the image sensory vividness. And that's what I want you to be thinking about for you and for your life. Giving your images sensory vividness. So when you think about whatever it is that you desire, you can use this for anything. You can use this for even small things. Like this afternoon, I'm getting on stage and I'm going to be talking about, I'm actually teaching a lesson on visualization. And so what do I do when I'm doing things like that? I see the audience. I see the smiles on their face. I hear them sharing with me how something that I shared with them or taught them has made a big impact on it. I feel the sensation of it in my body. I see them standing up and clapping and doing a standing ovation with vivid sensory acuity. It's really getting connected to the outcome. So I want you to think about whatever it is that you have as a goal or goals. This will work on multiple things, not just one thing. And I want you to follow through by imagining it into reality and do what Neville Goddard says, like really connect to the sensory vividness of that reality already being yours. And then, and don't just do it once, do it multiple times. And then this is where you live from. As I shared earlier in that other quote, this becomes your new home. Your new home is you living that life. It's you accomplishing everything that you've set for yourself, but you do it every single day. And you know something? It is a whole lot of fun. It's an absolute blast. And I know it works because my life has been transformed in every way. And I'm so serious about this attention in such a, or this subject, rather attention. I'm so serious about it because I know how if we're not working on ourselves, if we're not really into a state of improvement, nothing is staying the same. So we're either getting better, which is the side that I choose to be on, and I know it is for you, or you wouldn't even be here, or it's getting worse. And this is not hard work. This is fun work, a lot of fun to do this thing. And what are we talking about? We're talking about you. We're talking about your dreams. We're talking about your reality, you manifesting them into physical form. And everyone that's on this event right now or watching the video, if they're watching the recording, everyone has the power to do this. Everyone. It doesn't matter where you are, where you live, where you were raised, where you came from, what your education is. Anyone and everyone can actually image their results into reality. All right. So what does the purpose pusher say? I'm so happy and grateful that I have the ability to create images and have them manifest. Yeah, and I'm doing it. I'm so happy and grateful. And I love that you posted that there. The purpose pusher is that we all have the ability to do this. And it's just, are you doing it? You see, having the ability and doing it are actually two different things, right? Two different things. So focus on it as if it's already done. Whatever it is that you desire, your wish is already fulfilled. See it, believe it, know it, imagine it right into reality. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to call it a wrap. I have to get downstairs for the event. Now, we're going to be back together tomorrow afternoon. There's a lunch break tomorrow on Wednesday. So at 1 o'clock, instead of having lunch, I'm going to be back with you guys. We're going to do some more study time. All right. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here and allowing me to serve you. I love it. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. And I wish you an absolutely wonderful day. Make sure that you're imaging your reality into physical form. It's yours. It's ready. Just get out there and make it happen. Thank you so much, the Purpose Pusher. Thanks, Alicia. Mwah! Kisses to you as well. See you guys soon. Bye-bye for now.